Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner, Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. Patrick, we are headed into Memorial Day weekend. The Cubs are 10 games over 500. They're not fully healthy, but they got Ian Happ back. They won a series against the Marlins. They're doing what they are supposed to do in this weaker stretch. I believe they are now 7-2 in that
Mhm.
in a 21 game stretch against under 500 teams. I'm not even sure if the Reds are still under 500, but they start 3 against the Reds. Uh, a talented team that's probably not playing up fully up to its potential yet. But the Cubs are getting a lot of different contributions. Matt Shaw's returned, and he looks like the player that we kind of expected him to be or hoped he could be. The Cubs hoped he could be. He is driving the ball to right field with consistency. It seems like every other at bat is a hard line drive to
Yeah.
right field. Daniel Palencia bounced back nicely, blew that game on Monday, and comes back with a real nice save. Quick 1-2-3 inning. The bullpen isn't perfect, but it has some talent there. Brad Keller with huge 1 2/3 innings. And obviously, I don't think anybody that watches baseball expected Kyle Tucker's slump to last much longer than it did. He is back to being Kyle Tucker. This is what they're not click. I wouldn't say they're clicking on all cylinders, but they are. I mean, they won a game 14-1, so I guess maybe they are. But they're also winning the games they should be winning series, and like I said, they're 10 games over 500 in first place, heading into kind of a what do we call this, a mile marker, I guess, in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I think that's the most impressive part about this season thus far is that they aren't really clicking on all cylinders. Like it doesn't feel like the Cubs are kind of maxed out at this point. Like things have gone wrong and they've withstood the injuries to Shota Imanaga and Justin Steele and Javier Assad, and they've figured out to an extent what works in the bullpen, while acknowledging that there's a lot of work to be done and they'll have to bring in reinforcements here pretty soon. But 50 games is not an insignificant amount of time off the calendar. And when you see him 10 over, when you see how this offense has clicked, you see the young talent rising to the surface, whether it's Cade Horton, Matt Shaw, obviously Pete Crow Armstrong becoming like an MVP candidate. This is pretty close to what the Cubs could have hoped for back in Mesa. Boarding the plane to Japan. It is in just about every respect a very impressive start to the season and one that they think they can sustain.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they can't sustain it outside of stacking up injuries. I like the idea that they've built some depth here. They've won while not maybe playing their best or having some injuries. Kyle Tucker is the best player on this team. I know Pete Armstrong is probably the leader in WAR right now, but I mean, Kyle Tucker is the one that's established himself. Let's just say that he has the history of doing this. So they have that guy. They have a breakout star. They have a lot of elements that lead to success. I mean, we could talk about so many different aspects of this team. Really, there's the catching duo is just remarkable. The youth that's coming up, Cade Horton, was he dominant? I wouldn't say that, but he's
Getting
getting
the job
swing and
done.
miss, and he's producing. I think that's important. I think there's a lot of positives that you can bring up about this team right now. Patrick, let's take a quick break, and then we will start talking about the Red Series with our buddy Trent Rosecrans, who covers baseball for The Athletic.
FT fam, let's talk about the HOF app. If you're into parlays, but sometimes you're missing the mark more than you would like to, can I introduce you to some serious analytics on an app that is easy to read and comprehend? And I'm sitting next to a man who knows how to place a parlay.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is breaking down a parlay with this Hall of Fame app. There's the situations that you'll find easier to do. It's very helpful in understanding, and if you like, gambling, sometimes this is really good to know. So get on there, get on that Hall of Fame app and check it out.
Yeah, this is info that will help you, okay? With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 5-star reviews, safe to say that HOF has already helped a lot of people bet smarter. For a limited time only, FT listeners can get a 7-day free trial and 50% off their first month when they use code FOUL at checkout. Download the HOF app on iOS or Android. Enter code FOUL and you're all set.
All right, Patrick, let's bring in Trent. He has been covering the Reds for, let's ask him because I don't know the number of years. It's a long time. It's longer than I've been around covering baseball, and Trent's been doing it and doing it well. Trent, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us, man.
I'm okay, besides you talking about how old I am. You've been covering the Reds since before I was born. Oops.
Longer than I.
Of course, the great thing about this is I'm totally playing into it because somehow I just unplugged my camera and I can't get the background off. When it does, I've turned in my father. Jesus Christmas.
Is this a bit, Trent?
It is not a bit, sadly. I wish it were, because it would just make me feel better, but nothing's going to make me feel better. We're just all going to die sometime. So, son of a biscuit. Oh my God. I am just like playing into every stereotype that you can. And, oh no, it makes it worse. Apparently, all I did was accidentally click stop cam. Oh my God. You have seen me age in real time. And I did a background once. I can't get it off, but only on Chrome, not on Safari. Oh, God. I am my father, and I don't have me to call. It's like when he died, his spirit of technological ineptitude entered my body.
There we go. All right. Well, at least it was something.
It's good to see you.
Hey, how about that rant?
All right, Trent. The Cincinnati Reds, they're not a dominant ball club. They're not a bad ball club. They are the Cincinnati Reds. One thing that I'm going to start
They're
with
like my technological knowledge.
Yeah.
Like it exists somewhat. It was much better many years ago. The glory days were there. Now it's sometimes you go right, sometimes you don't. 50-50 shot. It's coin flip.
Let's start with the starting pitching.
It's good
because I did not expect them to be this good starting pitching wise. One of the best rotations going right now. What's the standout? Is it's I think everyone knows that Hunter, well, maybe not everyone knows, but people should know Hunter Greene's had a breakout season. He looks like a stud. What clicked for him, and then what's going on behind him in that rotation?
Well, I mean, it's pretty funny because like it's a breakout year, and last year he made the All-Star team. And so, but it's a leveling up. There is an All-Star level, but then there's Cy Young level, right? I mean, we've seen you have X amount. I mean, 500 pitchers make the All-Star game every year after injuries and replacements and all that. So, it's going from that top 5%, top 10% to the top 1%. And, honestly, here's the thing with Hunter Greene that is, I pointed this out and I kind of said it to him and he was like, yeah, I think you're right. Like for a 25-year-old, the majority of his competitive pitches that he's thrown in his life in games that you would consider competitive have come at the big league level. Because he was monitored very tightly as a prep player. He was a two-way guy coming out of the draft. You know, he didn't pitch that much for his high school. I think it was like, I don't know, it might have been like 80 innings total in high school. Then was short in the minor leagues, missed a year with Tommy John, and then debuted at what, 22, 23, 21, 22, 23, something around there. So he's a 25-year-old who the majority of his competitive pitches in his life have been at the big league level. That's a learning curve, right? Like you kind of think about that and it's just mind-blowing. And so he's kind of, it's funny to say, but I think the biggest difference is he trusts his stuff. And, you know, that's a learning process because, you know, when he got to the big league level for the first time in his life, he couldn't just outstuff people. You know, he wasn't so much more dominant than everybody else he faced. And it took some time to figure that out. And the thing that's different with him, if you look at his strike throwing, he throws strikes and says, hey, hit it. I'm not going to let you off the hook by throwing it out of the zone. No, I don't care. 2 strikes, I'm still going to throw in the zone. Do your best. This is 102.
Yeah.
And then, and that might not be his best pitch.
Wow. I mean, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that's something a lot of young pitchers need to learn is when they have nasty stuff, it's just, hey, you throw strikes with it. Don't be afraid. Just you can hammer the zone. These guys can't handle your stuff. Majority of the time, they're not going to be able. Yeah, yeah. Just
that's what Sean
attack the
Doolittle
zone
always
and
said.
learn.
Was being a hitter taught him like hitting's really, really hard. So if I just throw it, you know, a lot of these guys are going to hit it, but a lot of them aren't. And even if they do hit it, okay, so what? There's 9 guys and a fence behind me. Now that is tough for a Great American Ballpark because that fence is not as far. And so you lose some of those, but like that's also part of the maturation process. The best pitchers have been around in this ballpark. The Johnny Cuetos, the Luis Castillos, the you know, whoever you name that they've had, they don't care about the park. It just doesn't, they don't think about it because, you know, it's like playing with a bad defense. You can't get upset about, I don't know, name your butcher in the field here. But you can't be upset when they hit the ball to the butcher and he butchers it. And it's kind of like the same thing. So you just kind of like, okay, what can I control? Well, hopefully if it's, you know, I'm not going to throw it inside to a right-handed hitter if my butcher's at third base, you know, or in left field. And so you just kind of like take that into consideration, but every once in a while it happens. You hit it there, he boots it. And for Great American Ballpark, yeah, sometimes they'll hit it and it goes in that first row. I mean, the amount of times a pitcher has told me over my how many years, like 70 years, you said, Sahadev, that just like, you know, that doesn't go out anywhere else. You know, and that was even in the dead ball era when I started, you know, so.
What?
Look at that beard. You've been growing it since then.
Yeah. Well, it's never been cut. This is 100 years of growth. Only the beard grows, not my abilities or my maturity or anything else good. Just the waistline.
Well, I'm curious, Trent, when, you know, the Reds, you know, talk about extracting more from their young talent or having that mentality of, you know, controlling what you can control. Where does Terry Francona factor into this? What is he like to cover on a day-to-day basis?
You know, I keep kind of going back to, again, this is before your guys' times, you know, but Dusty Baker. There's a lot of similarities with Dusty in that he is confident in who he is and his decisions, and he will take in other stuff, but ultimately it lies on him, and he's not trying to prove anything to anybody because he's proven to everybody. You know, these are both Hall of Fame managers and for a reason. And so they're, you know what, if Nick Kroll decides, you know what, this just isn't working, hey, Tito, thanks, and go on your merry way. I mean, I'm sure he'd be like disappointed that he didn't get a chance, but it's not going to kill him. You know, he's got money. He's already got a Hall of Fame resume. whatever. So like, I think there's something about, I don't know if there's a thing about managing scared but there is a managing cautiously
For sure.
or whatever. And certain guys, and quite honestly, like Craig Counsell has that as well, where it's just like, what you gonna do? You know what? You fire me. If I want a job, I'll have a job the next day. It's okay. You know, it's not like us who's like, oh, you fire me? Well, crap. What else am I qualified to do? I mean, Patrick, you're qualified for many things. Sahadev, what are we gonna do? So I think
what else would you rather
to
do?
that.
Yeah.
I would rather do nothing, but other than nothing, because that doesn't pay well. I've tried it. Unemployment, the hours are great. The benefits are and pay is bad. So I don't recommend. However, the benefits, I mean, the hours are great. But you know, that's the thing. It's like, I think there's something about, he's not going to panic. Oh, you know, we just dropped 2 or 3 to the Pirates. There's no panic in Tito. He's been around this a long time, and it's been fun for me because, as Sahadev noted, I've been around for a long time. So like, you know, I go back to my Sparky Anderson days or Fred Hutchinson or whoever else was managing, and like, it's just like they know what they're doing, and it's funny because you guys have been around enough when you have covered someone for a long time that you know not only the answers, but you know what questions and what type of questions will get the answer you're looking for. And it's been kind of fun to watch others who are not as seasoned as I am. Is that the right word? Like, just figure out what Tito's going to answer and what he's not. And that is one of those things I always love. You get the comments, you don't ask the hard questions. No, I ask the questions differently. I also don't always ask them on camera. Thank you very much. And just because you ask somebody a question doesn't mean they're going to give you the answer that you want. So it's one of those things. It's just kind of fun. There's a learning curve with any new manager. I mean, you guys felt that last year, right?
For sure.
Like, you know, and so for covering someone, it is just a little different, but it's been good. He's, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with the guy. He's an old school baseball guy. You get, you know, you have that rhythm that you can get into, and what's gonna work and what's gonna not. So it's been fun. He's obviously good at what he does. So, whether they're, you know, 500 or 5 games under 500 or 5 games over 500 after 60 games or whatever it is, you know what? He knows that's 60 games and there's no panic. And this team has kind of been up and down, but you look at the roster and like, okay, yeah, this is a team that's probably a 500-ish team. If things break their way, sure, they can win 88, 90 games. If they don't, they can lose 88, 90 games. And I think we'll see that over the year. And I think it's nice. It is interesting to have someone who has that perspective, that I think Tito wants to win every game, but he also realizes, and this is a line I've used many times, and I'm a big believer in it, is a manager's game in the regular season isn't to win every game. It's to win the most games. And those are two different things. Yep. Now, postseason, win every game.
Sure. Let's take a quick break, and I have a question about the offense when we get back, Trent.
I just want to say, before Arena Club, if you were trying to very actively buy, sell, trade, it was very complicated and used a lot of mail that was unnecessary.
Yeah, I didn't even know how to do it, but I'm glad we have Arena Club now because it's a one-stop shop for everything card related.
It is, and right now you can get 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL. If you're a collector, you've got to check out Arena Club. Go get after it.
All right, Trent. The offense, for me, is where I thought this team would be stronger. Obviously, Elly De La Cruz is not having the type of season that some people expected. I thought Matt McClain was going to be a huge catalyst for this team. He's struggling. Will Benson, I think, just recently came back and won Player of the Week. That's right?
Yes.
So is the offense trending in a better direction right now? And I haven't noticed. And what's up with McClain and Elly De La Cruz? Because I feel like, especially McClain, I thought he could be like the guy that kind of stabilized things and got them to be a more consistent offense.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. I buy long-term Matt McClain. I just do. I'm a big believer in Matt McClain. I think a lot of it is missing a year. And like not only missing a year, but missing your second year in the big leagues. That second year in the big leagues is so difficult. And you add going around for that second year plus missing a year and being some time off. You've got to give. I'm not panicking over Matt McClain. I think Tito's kind of done the right thing where, okay, he put him in there at the beginning. He struggled. All right, now just put him at the bottom of the order, and let him go through. The other thing with Matt is I'm going to look at it, but it just feels like he has hit the ball hard and gotten some bad luck. And, nobody ever wants to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody loves hearing that. But it's also true sometimes because in the end, that's what you need to do. You need to, you hit the ball hard and you hit it on a line. And if you do that over time, you'll be all right. And so he's he really is I'm looking at his whiff rate and strikeout rate are terrible.
Yeah.
But he's a good defender.
He's hitting the ball hard.
He's hitting the ball hard. Right. That's the thing. It's just making that contact. And I think that's timing, right? We've seen he can do it. It's just getting in that groove. And I think that'll come around. But that's me.
And as far as Elly goes, is he just like a mercurial player in general?
Well, I think, a guy like Elly is going to have some streaks.
Yeah.
And I think, he every day that you show up and see him on the field, he could be the greatest player you've ever seen. Right. And I think you've seen some strides in, as bad as it looks, his strikeout rate has gone from the 6th percentile to the 11th. And okay, that's still not good, but you're getting better. You're seeing those improvements. I think a lot of this is seeing him try to become a more complete hitter, and that has been helpful. You also have seen some what's it called? What I'm talking about? You've seen some progress on the right side of the plate, batting right-handed. So I think that's good as well. And there's stuff. And again, I don't like ever reacting to small little bits because that's when, that's what observation bias is, right? It's overreaction to small samples. And baseball is a long term. I've seen better at bats from Elly De La Cruz. I don't think there's anything that he's doing worse. I think he actually looks better because he's more balanced. It's not as up and down. And so again, maybe it's me just being lazy and not wanting to look up why it's different, or maybe it's just like, I believe in these two guys, and I have for a long time, and 50 games doesn't do anything for me. Just as Will Benson had a fantastic week. Do I think he is the second coming of, is he the second coming of Elly De La Cruz, or is he the second coming of Aristides Aquino?
Yeah.
And I'm not. I think if there's anybody who can do it through pure will in adjustments, it is Will Benson, who's just an incredible young man. A young man. He's 26. Jesus, how old am I? Why are you guys picking on me like this? So, yeah, that's the thing. It's like those are two guys that I just don't worry about long term. I think they're going to figure it out. I mean, and the other part is, if you have them on the field, they both change the game. They really do. It's a matter of getting on base, and that's going to be important. But Elly De La Cruz is one of the best base runners in baseball. He's taking fewer chances on the bases, which I think is good and bad. Like anything, it has its positives and negatives. And he's kind of reflecting more of what the manager's asking, right? So David Bell was a big believer in, hey, we're going to press, and sometimes we're going to get thrown out. David Bell, like, the contact play was on anytime you're at third base. And, Tito's a little less aggressive. And he'll say that we're still aggressive, but within reason. Well, previously they just said, hey, Elly, do what you want. If you think you can get it, get it. Whereas maybe Tito's message is closer to, if you know you can get it, get it. Right? There is a slight difference. And so we've seen that. And it's funny, I've got all these things like, why isn't Elly hitting home runs and why isn't he stealing bases? Like, well, he's got more home runs on the team than anybody on the team, and he has more stolen bases than anybody in the league. Okay. It's all about expectations. That's kind of, I think our expectations for Elly De La Cruz are, I mean, they're Shohei levels.
Yeah.
And is that fair? And was Shohei, where was Shohei at 22? Oh, he was in Japan. He wasn't even over here yet, So I think that's a lot of it is what we expect. And baseball's funny that way. Whereas most other sports, you go to the game and you expect, you're going to see your guy and he's going to, LeBron James is going to LeBron James that night. Well, baseball, you can go to a whole Angels series. Well, back in the day, and say Angels and say Mike Trout, and he didn't Mike Trout, or my aunt. Here's a better example. My aunt went and lives in Arizona. She went to a Diamondbacks Dodgers game last year. She got so annoyed because the fans right behind her was just screaming Shohei the whole time. Or no, it's Ohtani, because I can hear her say it. And she's like, he went 0 for 4. He didn't get a hit. He stinks. It's like, he stunk that day.
Yeah.
It's baseball. I think my aunt, she's a brilliant person. And I will trust her on anything about energy and those kind of things. She's an engineer, but I don't trust her about baseball.
Yeah.
Good
call.
In terms of expectations here, I feel like the Reds are one of those teams in the middle. It's not as hopeless as Pittsburgh. They have not maybe overachieved to the extent that the Brewers have in recent years. But I don't know. When I watch the Reds from this distance, they always have nice, interesting position players. You have the pitching now. They're attractive enough to draw Tito off his couch in Arizona. What is the scenario in which the Reds catch fire and ruin the Cubs season and chase them down in the division? How does that happen?
Okay. First, Elly gets a little more consistent. Matt McClain is Matt McClain. Austin Hayes stays healthy, because when he's been on the field this year, man, he hits. Gavin Lux continues to Gavin Lux. I don't think it's that far away. You can squint and see it. I'm not betting on it because I know too much about baseball to ever bet on baseball, or on sports in general, because it's just I have much.
You've covered Pete Rose long enough not to do that.
I remember his rookie year. I said, I bet this kid will never amount to anything, and I was wrong. No, so that's part of it, and it's just, yeah, I can see it. There is a way where it happens, and in this division, you don't look at any team other than the Pirates and say, I know what's going to happen. And even the Pirates, you had some hope a while early, early. It's gone and shattered, like, you know, it does. But like every other team, like the Cubs, I think they're better offensively. I don't know if that pitching holds up all year. The Brewers, it looks like, okay, I mean, they're kind of where the Cardinals were a couple of years ago. It's like, oh, your devil magic died. What happened? You know, and the Cardinals, they're not very good. You look at them and like they got hot and they did well, but like, are they good? No. I don't know that anybody in this division is good. Every team, 4 of the teams in the division can be good. But is anybody like even what are we 50 games in, somewhere around there?
Yep.
Like where are we? Like
Yep.
would and take away what I just said about betting and that you shouldn't do that. Although our sponsors would disagree, I'm sure. Like, is there any team that you would look at in this division right now and say, okay, they're going to win this division?
I mean, since we're on a Cubs podcast, I'm going to say that the Cubs have the advantage, but I'd never.
Advantage. Like, yeah, you know why they have the
place,
advantage? Because they have the
money
the first place right now.
And they're going to be very aggressive. We lost Trent. Well, I'm assuming he doesn't know how to use technology. Oh wait, he's back. Did you just remove yourself, Trent? All right. Well,
we'll take the hint.
Oh,
Thank you,
Oh
Trent.
my god. I tried to like do something.
all right. Well,
This is embarrassing. Oh my
we're going to leave you with this, Trent. Over under on Connor Joe hits 7 this weekend. He is a Cubs killer. You may not be aware of that since he's just joined the Reds, but he will kill the Cubs this weekend. Just to give you a heads up.
Good to know.
All the listeners right now are nodding along and cursing Connor Joe's name because I've watched him now. This will be the 3rd or 4th team, maybe the 4th team he's been with. Yes, 4th team, because
In the big
Rockies,
leagues, because he
Pirates,
was a Red one. He was a Rule 5 pick by the Reds one year. And
okay,
they
but
had him
I've seen him beat up on the Cubs with the Rockies, the Pirates, the Padres, and now it'll be the Reds. He will come up with a big hit, or he will hit a 3-run homer. Something will happen. It's just the reality of the situation. I'm just preparing you for that. Get your Connor Joe story written.
I love that. You know, I say, hey, never bet on baseball. That's a terrible idea. And yet here we are, yet another betting line, the over-under. So I will show you like how brilliant I am that I know I'm dumb. And I'm going to go with under, which means over's going to win and I will look dumb. But hey, man, that's what I've done this whole time. Like everybody is like, why do you have this idiot on? He can't even work a computer. And for that, I just said, get off my lawn, you crazy kids.
All right. Trent, thanks so much for joining us. Make sure to read Trent's work over at The Athletic. Appreciate your time, man. We'll see you soon. Take it easy.
See you guys.
All right, Patrick. Here we go. We're going to do our Arena Club player spotlight. Okay, Patrick, I think the player we're going to focus on today is Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker had 6 hits against Miami. He was kind of the guy that got things going on Wednesday and Tuesday and Wednesday. He got the offense going. He was the entire offense for the most part on Wednesday. He has a 157 weighted runs created plus, slash line of 278, 387, 552. This man is everything the Cubs wanted. They paid a hefty price. You know, Cam Smith is maybe not tearing the cover off the ball right now, but he's a young, talented kid. Isaac Paredes is doing everything everyone expected he would in Is it Dakin? What's the name of their park? What in Houston? Let
Yeah.
me yeah.
Enron Field, maybe, I don't know.
And Hayden Wisniewski's on the shelf with TJ, but still they gave up a lot to get Kyle Tucker. I don't think nobody should be complaining. This is just a remarkable level of production.
Yes, I'm trying to be less online, but Tucker's performance dipped a little bit, and I think there was some chatter on social media about that. I just think it's impressive what he brings to the table every day, and that even if he wasn't maybe crushing the ball there for a little bit, a couple games in late April, there are pockets in May, still contributing at a really high level, taking his walks, setting an example, taking pressure off teammates. I think, like we started the show this season, while it's had some unscripted moments thus far, the overall body of work, the Cubs would have taken it in spring training, and like Kyle Tucker is at the top of that list, like really well liked by teammates, like a tone setter for the entire lineup. I think what Joe Madden liked to call a force multiplier, who just makes the players around him better. Like the Cubs pieces just fit nicer because of what he does in so many phases of the game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Force multiplier is a good way to describe it. Takes the offense to another level. Obviously, young guys stepping up. He's not alone in this lineup, but he deserves a lot of credit for kind of bringing it to another level. All right, Patrick, let's check out the slab pack we ripped from our friends with Arena Club. So let's see, who do we got here? This is not Kyle Tucker, from my understanding. It is Jackie
very nice.
Robinson. That is a fancy card. I'm a card collector, Patrick. I collected a lot of cards as a kid. I started collecting again in the pandemic with my son, so I'm into this. You can trade this. You can use the buyback program from Arena Club to get Kyle Tucker's card. If you so want to. This is fun stuff. I love collecting with my kid. He actually got a bunch of stuff from his grandpa recently. Even though he's a teenager now, he's still, I don't want to call him out to his friends. Maybe his friends don't want me to say this, but he still opens cards with me. I think it's fun.
I just want to say, before Arena Club,
not what I wanted to hit. Right now, you can get 20% of your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code foul. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code foul for 20% off your first purchase. Yeah, I mean, baseball cards, I think, are just kind of the heartbeat of baseball and my youth. I know that I did a lot of it with my dad, and I do it a lot with my son now, and it's still fun for me.
I've had a similar experience of, did it as a kid, and then as my son got into the game, like it's kind of amazing how cards are kind of timeless, and how once you're at a certain age, like it really draws you in. And to get a Jackie Robinson, a real piece of history, is pretty cool.
Absolutely. All right, Patrick, we will be back next week with more episodes. We will have a weekend slate of Reds games. We'll see. The Reds are always dangerous, and they're a pain in the Cubs' butt, whether they're good or bad. So, we'll see how this weekend goes. The Cubs have been playing well through, maybe not. I think we both agree they're not playing their best baseball, but they're winning the games against the bad teams, and that's so huge. We cannot forget 2023 and how that what happened when they sunk against some bad teams early on in the season, and that bit them. So win these games, win series, try and get through this easy stretch, looking good. And then we'll see where they are come June and July. All right, thanks so much for listening. This is Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.